down to, if you're writing good APIs, you should write the API with thought in advance. And maybe what you're really doing is, instead of having this one resource in the future, you're going to break it up into multiple resources. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you might eventually just deprecate a resource and say, eventually we're no longer respond to this resource. There are a lot of strategies that you can use to write better APIs without having to have these various version trees. Version stuff is really hard to deal with in the long term. It seems like a good solution for you to break backwards compatibility. But as anybody who has ever gone through any sort of software development where you have a major version change, you know how hard it is to do that. So I would propose and I have another talk about this, you should be designing your APIs first, okay? And when you change your API, you should have they're really hard to change. So don't. Find ways that you don't have to change that API, either by designing it well up front or by moving to other APIs, which is not really version, but it's different resources. So anyway, if you want to talk about this more afterwards, we can get into it and discuss it. But that's how I do it inside of one of my products. So, if you're going to do the header versioning, this is an interesting project that I found out about while I was working on this. They're trying to add a very simple way in Rails to handle that header versioning at the routing level. So where you can essentially say, this is API version 1, and then it should have these controllers, and this is API version 2. And it uses the header mechanism to switch between which routing. So I think that's a good approach if you're going to go that route, because trying to actually pull everything out on your own might get messy in the long run. I've seen other people do that as well. All right, another topic of discussion. So I don't know if any of you have heard this term come up. This is hypertext as the engine for, the engine of application state, I think is what it is, right? Yeah, that's a good one.